Do we have some input about how the character develops? I think you can have conversations and talk to them about when things happen, you know. I think the writers have a pretty clear path of how they want to take the characters in certain directions, but I also think it's how you play the characters and how you interact with the other main cast on the show, that they see what relationships work and what relationships don't. For example, David Nichols' relationship with David Hewlett. You know, David Nichols came on the show very similar to me. He came in, I think, episode 3 or 4, 38 minutes, I think, was the episode you came in. See how I remember that?
You're amazing.
I know. Kreskin. So he came in that episode, he had one scene, I believe, in that episode, and he knocked it out of the ballpark. So all of a sudden the writer's like, cool, Czech character, international crew, got the Scottish guy, Czech guy, let's give more episodes. David's done like at least 50 episodes of the show now, because they saw something in him, how he interacted obviously with McKay, and that dynamic of the relationship. So that's how it works, you know. If they see something that works, they keep on going with it, you know, or they kill you. Cheeky buggers. Cheeky buggers. Then they resurrect you. You know what I mean, love? Yes, sir. Pardon me? How did I get into acting? I got into acting, I think I'm one of 7 kids, and that means a lot. You know, when you have a big family, my mom's like, when I was born, I came out in Scotland. I always say I was born on a kitchen table, but she says I wasn't. I was born in the bedroom, but it's a better story. And I said, you know, she's doing, affronted if you say that. And I came out, and she looked at me, and had a big head of hair on me, and she's like, oh my God, look at his head, he's like a wee Beetle, we'll call him Paul. You know, and that's how I got my name. And then she's always said, you're also a little bit of an actor. And I started taking, you know, I have an education degree, a teaching degree, and I went through for the schooling and modern theater and started doing, you know, a lot of theater and studying and doing television commercials and that type of thing. And I just started working out my direction. I started kind of going that way a little bit with it, and then moved to Vancouver from Toronto and decided to give this a full-time kick. And, you know, we got fortunate. There's a lot of talented actors out there. You know, and right now there's a big strike happening, and they say that less than 5% of the actors that are in the union, which is not a high percentage, make over the poverty level. That's less than 5% that are actually in the union. So it's a tough business, you know, and, you know, to be in a situation where we are, you know, I think a little bit, I think you have to get lucky, and I think you have to work really hard, but it's a tricky business, and I think to be able to do it, you really have to want to do that, and that's something that has to be in you, you know, a growing desire, because it's certainly not for everybody. And I help a lot of young actors and work with them, and I say, you know what, if you can do anything else and be happy, do it, and enjoy going to the movies and doing your thing, or do it on the side, because it's not a very kind business in that many ways, but in lots of ways it can be very gratifying and the best business ever if you get fortunate enough to be lucky at it. That's what I got to say about that. Hi. She forgot her question. These things happen. Trust me, it happens all the time. Yes, hi. Am I writing anything at the moment? No, I'm not. I wouldn't say I was a writer. You know, I did it a long time ago. I did an adaptation of Snow White and the 7 Dwarfs when I was teaching, called Snowy and the Funky Bunch. And I think that's the last thing I wrote. I can't find it, unfortunately. I think it was kind of funny. I can't remember, but I'm not really a writer. I'm more if I help produce something, that sort of thing. But I just like the acting right now. Her question's a good one. It's when you're acting in a character and you don't really agree with what the character has to do or say, per se, right? That type of thing. And how do you do? Yeah, here's a good example. When we're shooting Duet, that you know episode, and I read the script, you know, and I was like, you know, Jesus, you know, David and I are kissing, you know, and that's kind of weird. So, you know, Martin Guru, who wrote that episode, he, you know, came up to me and said, look, he looked at the schedule, he goes, listen, you see the episode? I thought it was very funny, you know, it's not really David, you know, it's a woman inside of David who has a crush on Beckett, you know, and he said, how do you feel about that? David says he's okay with it, it's Paul, I can do it with Paul, you know, we're buddies, and whatever, it's just good comedy, and I'm like, I go, David's okay with it? He's like, oh yeah, yeah, totally. So then I guess he walked over to David's trailer and talked to David and said, look, what do you think of the script? And David's like, well, Jesus, you know, I'm kissing Paul in this episode, and I think it's funny and all, and he says, well, Paul's fine with it. He said there's David or whatever, you know, and he's like, he said that? He goes, okay, great. He goes, okay, you guys are both fine with it, good. Trickery, my friend, is what I'm saying. They trick you into these things. I think sometimes you have to do things, you have to honor the writing, but I think you can have discussions with people and say, listen, I don't know if my character would actually say this, which I do sometimes. The good thing about my character and about David's character, he's Czech, I'm Scottish, and we have certain isms, you know. I have Scottish isms that I would do, and I said, Beck wouldn't say this, and they're like, okay, cool. And he has the same liberty a little bit, too, at times with it, but, you know, in the context of the storyline, if it all makes sense, you go with it. Sometimes it doesn't. You know, that's what you're paid for. You got to make it work sometimes. You got to sell it if it doesn't. You know, hopefully you can make it work. I'll take a couple more questions, I think. Yeah, did you remember your question? Is it a good one? Right. Her question was the Atlantis Geneva Convention thing, you know, when they're... Now, I think that's a big dilemma that Beckett had for a long time, because he's a character that I think has, you know, wears his heart on his sleeve and has big moral implications. You know, ultimately, I guess it's a television series, and they're trying to deal with it, and what's the best thing to do, and I think the moral struggle or the moral dilemma, I think it makes a big part of it. So I think that that weighs heavily on the conscience of certain characters. Certainly Weir, especially, weighed heavier on her. I think it weighed on Beckett as well, to a certain degree, dealing with the retrovirus and, you know, gene therapy and, you know, that type of thing, and is it really right? So I think, you know, some of it makes for good television, the conflict, I think. But, you know, me personally, I mean, I think, yeah, sometimes you throw it out the window when you're in space, but, you know, we were talking about a group of Wraith coming to the world to feed on Australians. I don't like that at all. Okay? Because they'll drink the beer too, I know they will. Cheeky, thirsty buggers. I'll take one more question. Okay, maybe not. Okay, no, hi. In my career so far, my favorite role I've been playing? You know, I have to say this is one of my favorite roles to play Carson Beckett, because having my parents being Scottish and having kind of made the character Scottish to begin with, it's been special to me, you know, having to play this part. And obviously, it's been the biggest, like, touching role I've ever done, to, you know, as far as, like, spreading worldwide. I mean, I've been fortunate to be in Australia and London and Paris and Ireland and, you know, Germany many times, you know, and all these places, and all over the States and Canada. So it's been a great role in that sense, and what a, you know, I can't imagine having not done it. It's been such a fun thing for me, that role. And like the other one I'd have to say would be the character I played in this film I did called Seagrave's Fly. If you ever get a chance to see it, check it out. I played a missionary, very different, and it's about schizophrenia and mental illness. It's called Seagrave's Fly. It's a beautiful film, and the female Gina Shirelli, who plays my sister in it, her performance is like riveting. So it's one of those. It won at the Fanto Porto International Film Festival in Montreal. It won special awards there. She's won every award she's won up for it. So it's kind of cool, and I helped produce that movie too. So I'd have to say they're my top two, you know, and hopefully there'll be more to come. But I guess I should wrap this. Listen, I want to thank you guys for coming today, and hopefully I'll see some of you tomorrow. And David and myself will be doing a Q&A tomorrow together, I believe. And I hope you have a fantastic weekend. It's so great to be here. And the two people that came up earlier, come up and I'll sign these things and personalize it. But I'll say thank you very much for having me. You guys are awesome. Enjoy yourselves this weekend and be safe, okay? Thank you so much.